All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mindful Crafting. You're just going to see my hands today. So today we are going to be making some emotion palettes. I picked that name. You'll see why. But it's just kind of a simple mindfulness exercise to let us sit with our emotions and move through them and not feel like we're stuck in them, but also acknowledge that they're there, and that's fine. So I mentioned this in the email, but you can use a bunch of different kinds of supplies, but I'll just show you what I'm using. So I have this mini watercolor paper. I like watercolor paper for what we're doing today because we'll be laying down some color. We'll be kind of writing out what we're feeling, and then we'll be doing a water wash. So watercolor paper, cardstock, some kind of thick paper that's not just gonna like curl up when you add some water to it. So that's what I'd recommend. And I'm just gonna tear off a piece of this. All right, I think this is like a 4 by 6 or something. It's pretty small. Okay, and then I'm using this very old palette of watercolor pastels. So they're very chalky. You can see they have a lot of pigment that just comes right off. I've also done this with washable markers, work pretty well. If you have any kind of watercolor palette, even acrylic paint will work pretty well. So just, you want something that when you apply water to it will kind of spread out and turn into a wash. I tried this with markers that were not washable, and when I added the water, obviously it didn't do anything. So yeah, you just want something that's gonna kind of flow. And then I have a little glass of water, and I just grabbed some random brushes, but I've got these foam brushes that I'll use when I do the water wash. And then I also have some a little bit more narrow brushes that I'm going to use to actually write out my emotions. So, okay. One other thing that I like to use is some painter's tape. It just helps keep the paper in place, so I don't really have to worry about it sliding around. This is totally optional. If you're using a larger piece of paper, it's not as much of an issue, but I'm going to tape it down. It also gives you this nice, super clean border. Once your painting is done, it's very satisfying to pull up the tape and have this nice unpainted border. So, an option. Okay, cool. All right, so I've got this nice clean paper ready to start. As far as the technique for this, it's very simple. Don't stress about it. What I like to do is try to just be spontaneous and not self-edit. So when you're thinking about, oh, what emotions do I write down? Maybe I just want good things, or, you know, whatever. It's like, try not to edit yourself before you're just writing down what you're feeling. And you might surprise yourself. You just see what comes to mind. And whatever way you want to write it, if you want to abbreviate, like, totally up to you. Sometimes I notice the bigger things I'm feeling, I write bigger across the page, but that's not always the case. So yeah, don't stress about that too much. One thing I will say is that when you're picking your colors, you're going to do a water wash. So you want to think a little bit about what colors are going to blend nicely. So if you have a red and a green right next to each other and then you water wash them really thoroughly, you're kind of going to get a brown smudge, which isn't bad, but think about that a little bit. Okay, let's start off. And I'm just, depends on what you're using, but I'm going to collect some pigment on this little brush, and then I will start writing. I guess this will be upside down for you, sorry. And I'm going to try to wash enough of the pigment off that I can get a different color without it blending too much. You can't see that at all. There is something there. There you go, yeah. So it's up to you how many things you want to write, how big you want to write them. Again, it's really just this practice of not judging yourself or trying to edit, but just putting down whatever's coming up for you. All right, it's so bright in here. There we go. So as you can see, I'm not writing super straight across the page. My handwriting is these big block letters, so that's kind of how I'm painting them, but it's up to you.
Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Darby.
Hi.
I can't
Did you
see
catch
you.
my intro?
No, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No, my camera is pointed down so you can see what I'm painting, but I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay. So can you, oh gosh, I thought I was going to be right on time and,
Oh, you're okay.
and I'm not. I was
That is
running
totally
around.
fine.
Okay. So can you, or will it be bothering everybody?
Yeah, I'll go over it real quick. No, you're totally fine. Okay, so I'm using some watercolor paper. You don't have to, but it's nice to kind of use a thicker paper because we're going to be putting water on it.
Yep, I got some. Or
So
I got it.
I have that. And then I'm using watercolor pastels, but you can use washable markers. You can use any other kind of watercolors, just anything that's going to blend with water.
Okay. And what
So
are your
that's what I've
washable?
got.
What are the washable pastels? Are they like, hold one up? Is it like a piece of chalk?
They are kind of like chalk, yeah. So, and then you see if like the pigment comes off pretty quickly. So I've just had these forever.
Do you use a brush then, or your?
Yeah, I have been using a brush. I just kind of treat them like a watercolor paint palette. So I'll get the brush kind of wet, and then I just am kind of like brushing on there to pick up some of the pigment.
Those are cool.
Yeah, they work pretty well.
Okay, so you tape your piece of paper down.
Totally optional if you want to tape it down. I just did because I kind of like the borders that it makes.
Right, and that you're not constantly having to move it.
Exactly.
Or I guess reposition it.
Yeah.
Are there other people on the call?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they're listening to me babble on.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Sorry, other people.
No, I told people to just shout out questions. It is not a big deal. This is a pretty quick technique too. So.
And what are we doing right now? What are you doing?
So the main idea with this, we're focusing more on the mindfulness aspect of it. So what I'm asking folks to do is, paint or write whatever emotions are coming up for them today, right now. So you're really trying not to self-edit, and you're just putting down, are you really happy? Are you stressed? Are you confused? Whatever is coming up, and trying not to, like I said, trying not to edit it or present it in a certain way, but just totally writing down whatever's coming into your head. And then we'll have that down on the piece of paper, and then we'll do a water wash and kind of watch those emotions flow into each other and disappear a little bit, and just kind of see them changing and letting go, basically. So that's the idea.
I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it doesn't have to be like positive emotions. It could be, because I was trying to think, obviously because I'm a little late, I'm kind of, what do I want to say? A little spastic or a little frantic.
Right. You can totally write that down. Like whatever it does not have to be positive, and it doesn't have to be negative. It's, I have a mix of things on mine. So.
Okay. And are we writing those words in watercolor or washable? Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is so they're written down or painted down in something that when we do that water wash, they're going to spread around. So if you Sharpied them all down, they're not gonna flow.
If you what?
If you wrote it all in Sharpie or something, it wouldn't it wouldn't flow very well.
Right. And even in the arts and crafts place all over town, they have, I think this is crazy. They say washable. On like the crayons, the pencils. And I'm like, you may wash out of clothes, but I need you to blend in a wash.
Right.
And that's exactly what they mean. They wash out of clothes and off your
Yes.
hands.
Yeah, I think it's for kids for the most part. So here.
Right, right. And I didn't have a chance to zoom over to Michael's, which is good because my wallet thanks me. To Michael's or Hobby Lobby, because of course I never leave there with just what I went in there for.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna start on my water wash. Oh, did you have another question?
No. I was just gonna tell you something, but it can definitely wait.
Oh no, go ahead.
I don't know because I haven't looked to see who all is on. And everybody, I'm sorry, I'm just babbling on like a.
You're totally fine.
I should put that word down. Nonstop talker. I spoke to somebody that was at the desk one day, and I told her, because at the time I didn't know what we were doing. I just was kind of surprised because it was back before we had a list,
Oh
a list
yeah.
of items. And I told her I thought that maybe we were all getting together, and maybe she shared it with you, that maybe we were all getting together with our own craft or project that
Yes. Yeah.
we were working on our own at home, and we could all share what we were doing, and just like I know there's like crochet clubs or knitting clubs where they all get together and they knit
Right.
together. So it'd be something where we all brought our own activity, I guess.
Yeah. I love that idea. I've been waiting for the COVID case numbers to go down because this group used to meet in person at the library, and it was more of that kind of vibe. So yeah, no, she definitely shared that with me, and yeah, I would love to do one or more of our months like that where we just kind of share what we're working on.
But maybe we could do it on Zoom.
We totally could. That's true.
I if these were going on before Zoom, before COVID, I don't know that you ever would have seen me. Oh, not that you would have, not that that's such a delight.
Oh,
But
geez.
because of where I live and it being Saturdays,
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
the chances are higher that I'm here now than it would have been before. Well, I didn't even know this went on before, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, we do have they're still kind of working out some of the issues with it, but we have a new setup in our meeting room where we can do Zoom and an in-person meeting at the same time. So we have this whole tech setup. So we can have the option of kind of a hybrid meeting. So some people can be on Zoom and some people can be in person. So I think we need like a microphone setup for it or something. But yeah, that'll be an option in the future. So I'd like to keep it available for folks that do want to just join on Zoom, but have an in-person option too. Yeah, so we're working on that. It's been slow going with supply chain stuff, but we're getting there.
Okay, I had no idea about that, so that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it to be all set up. Okay, I'm gonna do this water wash before my stuff too dry, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but I've written down, and it's upside down. I've written down stuff across the piece of paper, and I've also done kind of some doodling just to add some more color in there. And then I'm going to soak this foam brush and get plenty of water on there. And then I'm going to slowly kind of pull it across, just adding a lot of water. You can see things are starting to blend out a little bit here. definitely blending better in the areas where I've laid more pigment down. So I would recommend that. I think I might go back over it a little bit because I still have a pretty well-defined set of words, which is totally fine. But I like the blending. So let me go back over.
What are some of the words, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the words that
Oh,
you
not
put
at all.
down?
So the one, this is where this gets interesting, is that it sort of surprised me, but the first one I wrote down was community, which is more of a feeling, I guess, than a specific emotion. But so I have community, I have grief, I have newness, I have love, I have heartbreak. There's all kinds of stuff going on in here. I like kind of the contrast of positive and maybe not even negative, but just sort of more difficult emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like your, like you said, your contrast.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important to remember that even if you're dealing with something difficult, that there are still positive things going on too.
And if we did another one, it could be, like you said, heartbreak. It could be focused more, it could be focused on self-love as a topic and items that you appreciate or you love about yourself.
Yeah, I like that idea too. If you wanted to pick sort of a theme going in and kind of prompt yourself to write things too, that can be a really helpful exercise. It's totally up to whatever is coming up for you and whatever you want to write. I like the layering aspect too. Like I have some kind of movement of paint here, but then some of the first things that I wrote down are still very visible, and I think that's it's something to sit with too, is that they don't entirely disappear, which is less satisfying, I guess, but it's also important that you can't just magically make things go away.
But maybe by them being less dominant, that's removed them from the gerbil wheel in your head.
Yes, I love that. No, that's so good.
They're in the background, and they could jump back on the gerbil wheel, but you've removed them, and so they're not as prominent and running your emotions as they were.
Yeah.
Because I really sometimes have to hit that gerbil wheel to
I love the term gerbil wheel. That's so true.
I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's part of mindfulness is control, minding your thoughts. I mean, controlling how you let your emotions rule you, or you rule your emotions.
Well, and I think too, it's this like you're acknowledging, but you're not fighting them, you know?
Right,
Like, yeah,
right.
you're kind of letting them pass through.
And that's what they say you're supposed to, is that it's supposed to, when the emotions come up, you're supposed to acknowledge them, that they do exist, but you're not to add to them. You're just to acknowledge them
Right.
and move on. I like to add to them and dig a big old pit.
Me too.
You know, I should put Chatty Cathy on mine. Um, I was going to share with everybody that I have found a hidden gem, or for me anyways, the dollar store in their art little section. It's little, um, like maybe half an aisle, yet what it contains is very surprising. I mean, and I live in Lecompton, so to go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, which is my favorite hangouts, it can be a little bit of a journey unless I'm in Lawrence anyways. But we have a
Right.
Dollar General or whatever close by over in Perry, and I'll run over there and I'll go, oh my gosh, they've got watercolor paint, they've got acrylics. I mean,
It's amazing what they
it
have. I've gotten some stuff there for workshops, and it's, yeah, I'm always surprised at how much stuff they have.
yeah.
Okay, I'm getting so much water buildup on this, this tiny piece of paper that I'm gonna stop and let it dry for a little bit. I like to let it dry a bit before I pull the tape up so that my borders stay nice, and the paper has a chance to like flatten out a little bit. But does anyone want to share anything that they worked on, or any like tips that came out of it? I feel like you guys always have interesting techniques and stuff that come up. I'm gonna I think for me, doing the water wash sooner rather than later, um, helped, because some, like my first word that I wrote didn't um, didn't wash around, because it was pretty dry by the time I did the water wash. But that's also kind of nice. Like I can still read it. So I liked that.
Ruby, say what you just said again. You you
The
you'd like that you started the water wash later, is that what you said? Because the words
I
show.
I think if you want but if you want the words to really, really blend out, then I would write them all like somewhat quickly and then do the water wash like right away so that they're not super dry. Because if they dry pretty well on the paper,
like, gotcha.
See my first words here, it's community, and it's super, super visible, right? Like it didn't blend very much, whereas some of the later stuff that I wrote did blend out. So yeah, it just depends on like, do you want it to stay really visible? Yeah. We have a comment about using this with young people. Yeah, I think.
Oh,
I don't know how old the young people are that you work with, but yes, it's a challenge.
That would be great for them to let emotions out, or even if they just with young people drew, you know.
Yeah, just anything to kind of work through some stuff is, yeah.
Does anybody have those I don't know what they're called, brush tip markers that are double-ended? So you've got a fine point and a brush point. I thought they were, here's the little box I purchased. I don't know where, wait a minute, that you can't see.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute, why can't, okay, I'm seeing myself. I want you to see, dang it, this is all backwards. Okay, let me try.
Oh yeah, it's all backwards. It throws me off all the time. There we go. Yeah.
Okay, and then, oops, there. Do you see that?
So they have the two, there's like a thick and a thin. Very cool.
A point and
oh yeah.
But I there was like a large kit. I don't know, maybe with 12 colors. No, more than that. I don't know. They had a lot of colors. And then this one looked like a nicer set, but there's only 8. I'm now kind of wishing I had the larger set, only because they had a lot more colors.
Yeah.
But they looked they didn't look I was at Walgreens. They didn't these appeared to be a nicer, finer quality. The only reason I bring it up is I've never worked with the dual tip painter things before, painter pens, and I just wondered if anybody else had experience with them.
I haven't personally. I don't know if anyone else here has worked with those. I haven't worked with markers a lot, or like paint pens.
Neither have I. I guess that's what I'm saying. Are
they blending out?
Oh, Ruby, I'm not near the water yet.
No worries. No worries.
I'm teasing you, but I'm not. It on the back of the package. Okay, this is so difficult. Okay, this is really challenging to me. Okay, so it gives you little directions on how.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, it's like that.
Oh no, it's the reverse camera. It's so weird to deal with. Oh, Lori says, I love brush tip markers. I use them for calligraphy and drawing. Okay. I've always wanted to learn how to do calligraphy. I've never been good at it, but it looks so amazing.
You know, me too. A girlfriend of mine in Oregon does it professionally, and she's now, because of COVID, teaching online. And I guess
that's so cool.
Yeah, her classes have been going really well. I'm looking around to see if I have any of her work is amazing. She works for she's in Oregon, and I don't know what they have for their anchor department stores, like Nordstrom's, or
Right.
Macy's. But over the holidays, this was her second year of doing it. She works in one of the or in the, I guess, the fragrance area, and she does like if somebody's giving it a gift, she does their initials engraved on the bottle of the cologne.
Oh,
Isn't that
cool.
in that, whatever that writing is? But she does it with obviously some type of fine tip
Yeah.
drill thing. I don't know. She's not just painting; it's engraved.
That's so cool. That's like, I mean, I guess if you're like a professional, but I would be so nervous trying to engrave
Well,
calligraphy. Wow, that's amazing.
I'm a Virgo, so we're always like, oh, I should put that word on here. We always try to be perfectionists, and she's a
Yeah.
Virgo. She's a Virgo, and so that she has been able to get over that with this. But then again,
Yeah.
her work is really good. But that she's been able to get past that with this work is great, because I, like you said, I would be so nervous.
I guess that's what practice does, right? Like you're more confident in what you're doing.
Besides that type of work, I'm sorry, I misspelled a word. Well, that's good. That's for the water. That's for
Hey,
water.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd also like to learn, and I don't know if it's a skill. I imagine it is a skill to some extent, how to use a fountain pen.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you've ever been to Wonder Fair in Lawrence, but they have this huge fountain pen section, and a lot of their staff uses them, and they're very knowledgeable about kind of how to get started. Um, I have never learned how to do it. It seems complicated, but I don't know. Like,
Well, do they? Okay,
anyway, yeah.
I've been to Wonder Fair, but I don't. Do they teach things? I thought it was to purchase people's works. I thought it was cool.
I want to say before the pandemic, they would have some kind of workshops, but I know they're always happy to sort of advise people about like what would be a good beginner fountain pen, like how you put the ink in there, like that kind of stuff, or how you use an ink pot. Yeah.
I want to just
not as
figure out.
formal.
I want to just figure out, how do you write with it? And the ink, does it just turn into a big blob?
Right.
The reason I bring this up, in case anybody else has this challenge that I do, when I love to look at the arts and the artsy fartsy stuff on Amazon, and I've been really into different colors, different not techniques, different tools to, like here, like the brush tip paints, or like that cool pastel chalk you have. I get lost all the time, but on Amazon. But my focus has been on the art supplies and what you use, like a pen or a marker that produces color. And God, they have been heavy on, or maybe it's my searches, have been heavy on the fountain pens. So I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know if that's It must be kind of a new thing because they're coming out with all different types of pin barrels, that are really pretty, or really, of course, those catch my
Yeah.
eye, or really have designs on them, not just like that old fountain pen that, Benjamin Franklin used that that he dipped in an inkwell.
Right.
Has
Yeah, maybe
anybody
it's coming back as a thing.
Yeah, and it has a lot of there's a lot of books, of course, like
Mhm.
workbooks on teaching yourself uh how to learn or the calligraphy and using the fountain
Right.
pen.
I know we have a few, I'm looking this up at the library for calligraphy. Oh yeah, we have a bunch of them. I don't know if we have anything about how to use fountain pen specifically. Not really.
Has anybody in the group used fountain pens or done calligraphy before?
I know Lori said in chat about the brush tip markers. I use them for calligraphy and drawing. So I know we have one calligraphy person. Are you a part of the Mindful Crafting Facebook group?
The Mindful Craft, what?
We have a Facebook group that if you're not a part of it, I'll add you to it.
Yeah, I guess since I'm asking about it, I must not be.
Oh, everything's freezing up. Okay, I will send it when I send out the recording for the class. I'll send out the link to that group. But that's always a good place to ask about like supplies, or if anyone has experience with different mediums or things like that. Yeah, it's a great group of crafters. So, but yeah, I'll put the link to that.
I used fountain pens years ago, but I like the brush markers, easier and lower cost.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you have your ink just ready rather than having to use like yeah.
And that's where I'm always afraid. I keep thinking if I did that, I'm going to get a big blob and that'll be it. That'll be it. It'll be over. Unless you took that big blob and turned it into something. Mine would
Right.
probably oh, she says no spilling the inkwell. Do you not have
Yeah,
an
I would be
inkwell?
terrified of, well, with the markers.
Yeah, no spilling the inkwell with the markers. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I would just immediately be knocking that inkwell over.
I would have a lot of spiders on my page.
Yeah.
Because I'd turn that big blob. I just draw
Yeah,
legs.
you'd have to like turn it into something.
And then I'd have to throw it away because I don't want any spiders in the house.
Okay, it's almost at noon and I've got to run to the seed fair, so we do have to wrap up, but I'm going to show you taking the painter's tape off of the paper and just show you kind of the borders that you get with that. I'm going to tilt down.
Oh, so yours looks so pretty.
I added a bunch of pigment to the words, so I was just kind of doodling, and it did become more of a palette, which I like. So, all right, so peel this off. I used so much water that it got under the tape a little bit, but that's okay. So, and then you have that really crisp border, giving you
nice.
kind of a little frame for your painting. All right. So there we go.
Oh,
So
that's
I was just taking my paintbrush with the pigments that I used to write my words and just kind of like dabbing it on there. So that's what gave me that texture. But yeah, I like that it became sort of a doodling project. But I can still read a couple of the words. Which again,
okay.
it's like this, yeah.
It's okay because somebody that would look at that, some people would see those words, and some people totally aren't.
Right,
Right?
totally.
And that would be a great card, to make,
Yeah.
to do that on the front of cardstock and make cards like that. That's really cool. In fact, you
Yeah,
could write words
that's a good
about the
idea.
person. You could write words on it about the person that you're sending the card to.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And I was going to
And
say about go ahead.
Oh, I've actually used, so this watercolor paper is thick enough. I've actually used it as a postcard. So it will go through the mail if you just put a stamp on it and treat it as a postcard. So that is one perk of the thick watercolor paper. You could totally mail it. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I came up with something else when you said you have used it as a postcard. I don't know. I was going to tell you that the cling stamp adventure, that not only became a fascination for me because I'd never heard of it before, so it was all new. Most of your things, almost all of them, I've never done before, which I think is great. But my friend in Oregon, the writer, she's all over the cling stamp, and she was like, "Watch out, it's a slippery slope."
It is.
Yeah, but she only uses the paint pads, and if anybody's ever interested, she gave me the name and the company where to the link to purchase the paint pads. And she really is the person you want to talk to if you want to go further into any of these type of crafts, because she's all over it. I mean, professionally all over it. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I love this, Ruby.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad. It was a nice little practice morning. Now the sun's coming in all over my desk. Nice. All right. I'm going to stop the recording.